And there's a lot of history, background to this. And what I see, so I was hoping that when I got into Parliament, I would see some immediate emergency services put in place. I do know, though, to their credit, that we do have an ambulance service and we do have a clinic on site. But the issue is that emergency, when you have an emergency situation, when somebody is profusely bleeding or when somebody has passed out. And remember what happened to the former President Akufo-Addo's ADC who fainted in the chamber. At that time, what we need is that first responder. That is the person that is on site that can get something done. And I have noticed that, one, the first responders, the ambulance services, not in the chamber or around the chamber. And also there's that what in trauma we call the golden hour. That is the first hour of every emergency or the first hour of every trauma. It is within that first hour that when you do the right things, you can save a life, meaning that you can prevent morbidity and mortality. So that first hour is the most critical. So as you saw the president's ADC faint in the chamber, the way the person was even treated or the emergency response was inadequate. So first of all, he shouldn't have been allowed to walk. Maybe they should have had him sit down and behind the scenes because the president is standing up, they'll move him to the back and do something. And since I started in the 9th Parliament, I've gone around the hallways and I've walked around the premises and everything. And I don't see a lot of emergency or I don't see any emergency kits available. For instance, the AED, which is like the thing that you use to shock the heart when somebody's heart has stopped.
Okay, what does AED stand for?
It is a device, not to use too many medical terms. It is a device that we use. It's a machine. And that machine basically will measure the rhythm of the person's heart.
Is it the same as a defibrillator?
It's the same as a defibrillator.
Okay, all right.
So what it does is the heart is a mechanical thing, so it has a rhythm. And if the heart stops, the person dies. So basically, the defibrillator is something that will shock the heart back to the rhythm that it's supposed to have. So it is a defibrillator. So we don't have any defibrillators in the hallways. We don't have defibrillators in the restrooms. I don't see any defibrillator in the chamber. And that is what I was drawing the attention of leadership to know that we need these things. Now, if you go everywhere in advanced countries or other jurisdictions, let me put it that way, other jurisdictions, what you see, if you see AEDs even in the airports, you see AEDs in some restaurants, you see AEDs all over the place. But here in the Parliament, the most important building or facility or premise in the country doesn't have any AEDs or defibrillators. So the issue is perhaps I should, as a medical doctor myself and a professor of surgery, I should draw the attention of leadership to it and see how can do it. One, I think there needs to be a lot of public education. You need to teach maybe the parliamentarians themselves or the parliamentary staff how to do at least the first response, which is a basic life support or advanced life support. And then further continue that education to a level where if, for instance, God forbid, it is a president or the speaker and something like that happens, then we have people inside the chamber who can respond first before the emergency services get into the chamber. And that's what I was discussing.
And, you made a statement on the floor of Parliament. Right after, what kind of response did you get?
I think so far the response has been very good. It has been positive. And I think that I will continue to push for that to happen. And perhaps not maybe just in the Parliament, but also in Flagstaff House or Jubilee House, or also in Jubilee House, so that we can have these emergency services readily available. This is not anything new. These are standard of care. So we are talking standards of care, and we're not reinventing the wheel. We're just asking that these devices or these emergency services are available in the right place at the right time. That is the only way we can save precious lives, precious Ghanaian lives.
But as a country in general, what is your assessment of our emergency response?
I think there's a lot of deficiencies in the emergency response services because, we have, even where the ambulance is available in the hospitals, I'm talking about maybe the hospitals, which are the last referral centers, people have to buy petrol for the ambulances. So even where the ambulance is available, the patient or the person whose family is being transported needs to buy fuel for the ambulance. So all those things need to be looked at. But thankfully, we have a new Minister of Health, we have a new administration, and I believe that in the vetting of the Minister of Health, some of these issues will come up and it will be addressed. So I am here to support and to make sure that some of these things, attention is paid to emergency services in Ghana and see the best we can to help the administration as well as to help Ghanaians.
Now, you have been in Parliament for a few weeks now, right? How has the experience been so far for you?
Oh, thank you. The experience is kind of interesting, and it's a learning curve. Everything there, it's a house of law or a house of record. And so with everything we say, we have to be based on a certain standing order and a certain record. For me personally, it's a new way of doing things because, of course, I've been in classrooms teaching surgical students or surgical residents. I've also been in the theater or in the hospitals, but I haven't been in a situation where it is so regimented. So it is interesting for me. My standing order is like my next to my Bible now, and I'm learning the standing order so that I can be more experienced in what is happening in Parliament. But in terms of the larger picture, which is making laws or being in a position of privilege or being voted for by people to represent them, that has not been new because I've gone through several elections, not as a politician, but in my medical life. And sitting in boardrooms and all that stuff, I've done plenty of that over my lifetime. But this whole Parliament with the standing orders and the regiment of it, and also the tradition, I find that very interesting, and I find it a privilege that I've been called to such an office.
With you finally making it to the House, was it everything you imagined or more?
I think it's some of what I imagined and a little bit more. It's interesting. I like it. I'm enjoying it. I'm also learning a lot. And so I think that over time, maybe after a year or two, when I'm used to the system, maybe I will have a different view of it. But for now, I think it's very interesting. I'm humbled and privileged to be called to represent the good people of Eskaduketan constituency, which, by the way, has been an MPP seat for the last 28 years.
Yes.
So it's interesting that things have changed, and also that I've been given the opportunity to prove that I can do better.
And going back to the statement you made on the floor, there's been, tons of reactions on social media. People are, pointing to it and even saying that this is what should be trending and not the negative news coming from Parliament and all that. But did you get any immediate response within the House as to whether this is something leadership would support for it to be eventually rolled out for Parliament to have, a good emergency response system?
Thank you. I got a very good response from leadership and also from my colleague parliamentarians at the end of the day yesterday, and it's all positive. And also, I forgot the first part of your question.
I was saying that did you get a good response in terms of they rolling out measures eventually to ensure that Parliament has a good response system?
Yes. I think that's the discussion we've been having. So pretty soon we'll put a small committee together and we'll see how best we can fix these problems. These are not like major things. These are very little things. Now, what is more important is the education of the public. We need to incorporate these kinds of education into the secondary or the basic education. Basic CPR, basic Heimlich maneuver when somebody is choking, when a child is choking, when an adult is choking. Those are certain things that we can do that can really save precious lives. Let me tell you a short story. I went to a restaurant in Accra, and I was sitting next to another table. The guys were a bunch of men, and they were having fun. It looked like it was somebody's birthday. And then one of them started choking. And I think nobody really noticed that he was truly choking. And then next thing I heard, everybody was yelling, Ajay, Ajay, Ajay. And I literally sprung out of my chair and did the Heimlich maneuver and basically saved their life. And I think that perhaps all the workers in the restaurant should have known how to do that, because that is what happens in restaurants. People choke, children and adults. Stuff like that can happen. And it's just really not even a lot of education. It's very little education that you can save lives and really prevent this morbidity and mortality. When we go to our emergency rooms in this country, they are all choked. And the emergency services, I think, to a certain extent, are inadequate. So, yes, I'm privileged, I'm honored, and so I'm offering my services even to teach the parliamentarians the basic life support as well as the Heimlich maneuvers. Basically, the basic things. I will be willing to set up a class and teach them and I have dummies and things to practice. So we can do all that in our spare time. And I think that would really help to help all of us.
So listening to you, it seems as though this is a campaign you are willing to champion across the country, I believe.
Absolutely. We've even been doing some classes from the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital with one of my colleagues called Dr. Mona, and he's a surgeon at the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital in faculty also of the Department of Surgery. And we do have a class that we do once a year, and that class is for first responders, and we teach them even more advanced things to do. When you go to places like the United States of America, even the American College of Surgeons, which I'm a fellow of, is doing something different. What they're doing is, when people have accidents on our freeways, on our highways, when we're going back and forth from Takoradi to Accra, Kumasi to Accra, all these major roads, there are lots of accidents that are happening. And what happens if you meet somebody who's bleeding profusely? And we are doing a course called Stop the Bleed. And Stop the Bleed is not even an advanced thing. It is really for lay people to teach them how to stop a severely bleeding person so that person at least can make it to the hospital and be treated in the hospital. So these are small things that we can do that will really save lives in Ghana and, again, protect Ghanaian precious life. And I'm ready to champion it, and I'll do the best I can under the circumstances to see how far we can take this and so that Ghanaians can really get relief. One of the things that people complain about a lot is what happens when they have accidents or there's a trauma in this country. It is a very difficult situation for people to be in. The demand for money, the lack of the right things. So there's a lot. But anyway, I'm glad we have a new Minister of Health. We're waiting for the new Deputy Minister of Health, and between the two of them, we can also support to make sure that everything happens well.
Now let's go back to your constituency. I'm sure your constituents are listening to us via Empire FM in Takoradi. First of all, how was the contest for you? Eventually getting to become, the party's representative and going on to eventually win. Bearing in mind that in the previous election, you were close to winning, correct?
That is correct. And so I think I won the first election, and it was actually a stolen verdict. But that's besides the point. We are moving forward now. I have won the election massively with almost a 9,000 votes margin or gap. And President Mahama also won with almost 5,000 to 6,000 gap. So it is an overwhelming endorsement of his presidency and my MPship. And I think that what the people are waiting for me to do is to fulfill my campaign promises and also to continue to work for the good people of Iskadapitan constituency. We have been orphaned for so long, and there's a lot of work to do. But, prior to even being the MP, I was doing a lot of things for the constituent. So I will continue to do the things for them that is going to make their lives easier. And I'll also continue to bring new and innovative thinking to the constituency. As we speak right now, we know that there's going to be the rainy season. But as of yesterday, I've already started, grading some of these inner roads that will help people to get to their homes safely should the rain start. So my constituency is huge. It's a big constituency. We have over 79,000 voters and I think 140,000 inhabitants. So it's a big constituency by size, by land size. So it's a lot of work to do, but as I have started early, which is now we're in January, I can use all of the rest of January, the rest of February and March to really open up some of these roads that lead to our new sites so that the people living in those areas will have easy accessibility to their homes. Next, I'll work on the electricity or the street lighting, which is very poor within the constituency. So these are some of the low-hanging fruit things that I can do to enhance the image of the constituency and also make the lives of the constituents less stressful. And that is my goal. And so, and also my campaign promises of creating jobs for the youth and also for the skills training for our teeming youth who are now unskilled as well as they are unemployed. So for me, that is my major problem, and I put up systems in place that I will do to help the people. Thank you.
Okay, all right then. Any final words you have for your constituents as we wrap up the conversation?
Thank you again to your audience and to my constituents. I want to say a big, big, big thank you for giving me this opportunity and this mandate. I am humbled. I am coming in to serve the people of Ghana as well as my constituents of the Iskadapitan constituency. Everybody should continue to pray for me to have the strength and the mind to be able to do the things that I have said I will do or to fulfill my campaign promises. And with the help of President Mahama and all the new and innovative things he's also bringing on board, the 24-hour economy and the creation of jobs and also the youth entrepreneurial programs that he's bringing on board, will piggyback on those and use those to help the constituency so that the constituency will really turn into the right direction and the people of the constituency will have less stress and things will be well for all of us within the constituency. And it's for everyone, not just my NDC members, but I am here as an MP for the entire constituency, and I will do what is best for the constituency to serve them well. So thank you again for giving me the opportunity. I am humbled and grateful.
Thank you so much, Dr. Grace Ayensu-Danquah. She is the Member of Parliament for Isikadapitan constituency in the Western region. This is the Morning Star here on Star 103.5 FM. She says definitely she's going to get down on the job at hand and she's going to be championing, emergency response in Parliament and in the country in general. We're going to get down on it.